one of the things I wanted to talk about, and Lore talked about a couple things that were really might raise a flag because they're making both Holy Shock and Crusader Strike base abilities, which means obviously it's Prot and I guess Holy would get Crusader Strike, but obviously they're not going to be attacking too much. But as for Prot, it raises some interesting questions because now it potentially throws in two new abilities into a rotation. So I mean, and more importantly, a self heal. So I mean, do you want to touch on that? I mean,
Well, with the main thing that concerns me with that is the self heal ability. The damage. I mean, in the end, it's all going to depend on how they make it. I mean, we don't
yeah,
know exactly what they're going to make it with, but
exactly.
being being pretty much the only tank to have a heal on command, Death Strike's kind of meh on for DKs, but to
Right.
have a heal on your command without having to say like on a druid change forms, that's going to be very significant. And the Crusader Strike
Definitely.
is probably going to be sent in there to probably to change up our rotation. That's one of the things Blizzard has said many times, that as much as we all love a static rotation,
Yeah.
Blizzard does not like static rotations.
Right. And that's the thing is anyone that knows how to use a 969 rotation, it's whether you're on 15 mobs or you're on the boss, it's generally the same priority system because whether what you hit first might differ, but once everything's on cooldown, you kind of just rotate back and forth between those 6 second cooldowns and the 9 second cooldowns because there's really nothing else to fill them with. But I'm excited for it because they even said they're going to want to make obvious changes to where we have to decipher which kind of abilities we want to use based upon if we're an AoE tanking or single target, which I think is really cool because it gives some room for fucking up. It will actually let people who are better at Paladin tanking become even better, and people who are still struggling with the rotation and a lot of the tanking awareness, it'll separate the good from the bad. I would think, giving us not one set rotation for every case in the game. So I think it's cool.
I agree completely. And well, maybe not the druid, but the warrior and the DKs, they have completely different rotations and priority systems as it is now
Right.
for AOE and single target.
Yeah. And yeah, so we'll see. Well, I mean, obviously it's a preview, and as as Blizzard has shown, is they'll let some stuff go through that maybe shouldn't go through. They're gonna test it obviously through a beta, and then once it hits live and they see how it's actually scaling and how people are using it, they might change a couple things. But I'm kind of excited if they do actually give us some form of different rotations based upon what kind of situation we're in. So I think that'll be cool. I'll be looking forward to that. But yeah, about Holy Shock being a self heal, I'm pretty sure paladins are going to use it. Prop paladins are going to use it more so as a self heal rather than what a 1 to 2K outgoing damage spell that you could be used at range. I mean, you might pull something with it, but I don't know. Then what's the point of Avenger's Shield? That's probably going to hit harder at those levels. But I think it's definitely going to be overpowered to have. I forget the cooldown. Was it 8 seconds or something? But a self heal every 8 seconds. It's going to be pretty overpowered.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The one thing, well, sorry, two things that do concern me most, though, is one of them is what, going back to Laura's video, is the Sacred Shield is on 30 minutes. I think we talked about this before, where
Right. Yeah.
you have a 30% permanent, your block chance is increased by 30%. And like you and I were talking before, it was going to be we become unhittable all the time, and when
Right.
we do get hit, it's for 30% less damage, always.
Yeah. And it's not. Do you block? I didn't read the static damage reduction, but you still block, right? So it's 30% less damage, and then obviously whatever your block value is, it's reduced by that much too.
No, they were going to take away block value.
Oh, okay, okay.
Block value is going to go away, and so instead of having like gimmicky sets of block sets, you will always block at a base level 30% of a physical hit if you block.
Right. Yeah. That
So
You're right. Yeah, Lord did bring that up, but I didn't know they were reducing the or taking away the block value. But yeah, and he even said it's raising concerns because Paladins are the only class to date, and granted, Ice Crown, I'm not talking about Ice Crown Citadel because everyone loses a 20% dodge, but outside of Ice Crown Citadel, Paladins can maintain what is called unhittable. I don't know if anyone knows about this. It's kind of not talked about too much because Ice Crown, it doesn't really affect too much, but in TOC and stuff like that, we could keep Holy Shield up 100% of the time. And what happens is a boss who's 3 levels higher than us has a 102.4% chance to hit us, because obviously at level 80 has a 100% chance to hit us, and it goes up from there. So if you, including your miss, which is just increased by defense rating, so if you add that to your dodge, your parry, and your block value after Holy Shield's up, if that's greater than 102.4, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to block. So if you're higher than 102.4, and it's going to be the same, it's going to be level, what, we're going to be 85, so it's going to be 85, 6, 7, 8. So when at level 88 boss or whatever, if you have higher avoidance, including block over than 102.4, you're going to block every physical incoming damage, at least, which means you're going to get that 30% static damage reduction. It's a permanent shield wall at that point. So, I mean, it really raises some questions like, we're going to have a natural 30% damage reduction to all physical attacks. So, I mean, it's very, very sketchy, I think. But, I mean, if it goes through, we're obviously going to be the next overpowered tank, or still the predominant tank for all tanking classes, or tanking environments. So, it'd be interesting.
Agreed. They're going to need to, if they keep it as it is now, they're going to have to change something, because or else
Definitely.
nobody's going to want anything other than a paladin tank.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't sound like it's a smart idea. I mean, if it goes through, paladins are gonna. I mean, I feel bad for warriors and druids and DKs, because it's just they're gonna have to utilize cooldowns when, you look at us, we're just gonna have a static 30% damage reduction.